Good morning to one and all. I am Dr. E. Susitra, working as Assistant Professor in Department of Pharmacognosy, School of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Wales Institute of Science, Technology and Advanced Studies. I would like to give my presentation on the topic Classification of Crude Drugs. The learning outcomes would be an introduction to the natural sources of drugs with a highlight on the difference between the organized and unorganized crude drugs, followed by classification of crude drugs, wherein each system of classification of crude drugs are explained with relevant examples, followed by its merits and demerits. So these crude drugs, they are normally defined as unmodified natural preparations which are obtained from plants, animals, fungi, bacteria or minerals intended to prevent or treat an ailment or a disease. The traditional pharmacopoeias which list these crude drugs contributes to 85% taken up from plants, 15% for the mineral and animal substances in the ratio of 2:1. We know India has a very rich biodiversity full of flora and fauna, where the number of plant species accounts to 300 families and 10,500 genera. Around 150 medicinal plants are cultivated and 30 to 40 of them are involved in large-scale field crops. So normally crude drugs are classified into organized and unorganized drugs. Organized drugs are defined as those that have a cellular structure wherein we can define the plant part into its reproductive and non-reproductive parts like fruit, seed, roots, etc. Whereas an unorganized drugs are those that are obtained from parts of plants wherein the cellular structure is absent, and normally these are obtained by some physical process like extraction, distillation, incision, expression, etc. So we can study the organized drugs by taking a proper microscopy, either a transverse or longitudinal section, and observing under a compound microscope, whereas for unorganized drugs, normally the physical constants like density, viscosity, refractive index, optical rotation and qualitative chemical tests are used to identify them. Normally the organized drugs are solid in nature, whereas the unorganized drugs can either be a solid, semi-solid or liquid. To quote an example for liquid unorganized drugs, it includes the oils, example lemon oil, turpentine oil, and for semi-solid substances it quotes to the fatty substances like beeswax, and for solid substances it refers to the resin and resin substances like benzoin and even the oleogum resins like asafoetida, balsam of Peru, tolu, etc. Organized drugs, they represent the organized form, so they include the plant parts taken from different plants like clove, fennel, dill, digitalis, etc. So in order to pursue the study of individual drugs, one must adopt some particular sequence of arrangement. So this is referred to as a systematic classification of crude drugs, and this classification should be such that it is very simple, easy to use, and it is free from the confusions and the ambiguities that arises while classifying the crude drugs. So accordingly, the plant drugs are classified into 7 types, namely alphabetical, taxonomical, morphological, pharmacological, chemical, chemotaxonomical, serotaxonomical classification. Looking into the alphabetical classification of crude drugs, this is the simplest way of classification. It is wherein the crude drugs are arranged in alphabetical order of their Latin and English names, or sometimes by their vernacular names. And we have a number of pharmacopoeias, dictionaries, references, books which help them to classify according to the system given here. Namely, it starts with the alphabet A and ends up to the alphabet Z. So it is in alphabetical arrangement, and we have these pharmacopoeias which is arranged of this order, namely the Indian Pharmacopoeia, BP British Pharmacopoeia, British Herbal Pharmacopoeia, USP National Formulary, BPC European Pharmacopoeia, etc. So the merit of this classification, it's very easy, it's quick to use, and there is no repetition of entries made, and it is devoid of confusion, and you can also trace the drug entries very easily, and you can also add in new entries if required. The main demerit being there is no relationship between the previous and successive entries. As well, you cannot classify them according to the organized or unorganized drugs, as everything is mixed together as per the alphabets. Next, going on to the taxonomical classification, here the plants are classified based on their morphological, microscopical, chemical, embryological, serological and genital classification. So here you can see the taxonomical classification. It is classified according to a systematic arrangement, namely the kingdom, subkingdom, division, class, order, family, genus and species. We have an example here for taxonomical classification, where we have the Magnoliopta, a flowering plant, classified under Asteridae subclass, Astrale family, order family Asteraceae, and the genus is Tridactes, species being Procumbens. The merit of this taxonomical classification is it's helpful for studying the evolutionary developments, but again the demerit is it does not have any correlation with the chemical composition nor the biological activity of the drugs. Next we go on to the morphological classification, where the drugs are classified according to the external characters of the plant parts or the animal parts, that is a part of the plant which is used as a drug. So here the classification can be made either organized form or unorganized form. So we have a few examples represented in the table. So these are all examples for the unorganized plant parts like woods, leaves, barks, seeds, etc. So we have few examples of each order. For woods, quassia, red sandalwood, leaves, digitalis, tea, senna, barks, ashoka, cascara, acacia, cinnamon, flowering plants, clove. Fruits, we have the umbelliferous fruits, and for seeds we have the black mustard, bitter almond, linseed, and for roots and rhizomes we have the well-known drugs like Rauwolfia, the Indian serpentine root, Shatavari, turmeric, which is all well known, and plants and herbs we have the entire plant part, the fungal species ergot, ephedra, the stem or the aerial part, and we have the vinca, the leaf part, and for hairs and fibers we have certain pharmaceutical drugs like cotton, hemp, jute, silk, flax. And for unorganized classification, we have the dried latex, juice, extract, wax, gums, resins, and oils, which includes the volatile and fixed oils as well. So for latex, we take the example of opium and papain. For juice, the aloe vera. For extracts, the extracts taken from the polyphenolic drugs like pale and black catechues. And waxes, we have the beeswax and spermaceti. And for gums, we have the Indian tragacanth, the acacia, guar gum. And for resins, we have asafoetida, an example for oleogum resin. Then we have benzoin, balsam of Tolu, etc. And for volatile oils, we have all the isoprene terpenoid units taken from the peppermint and spearmint family. And we have for fixed oils the castor oil, arachis oil, sesame oil, etc. And for fatty substances, we have kokum butter. And for animal products, we have taken the examples of honey, shark liver, cod liver oil, halibut oil, spermaceti, wax. And for fossil organisms and minerals, we take the examples of alginate, pectin, pale catechu, agar, etc. So the merit of this type of classification is it helps in identifying mainly the adulterants, which is a major threat to the crude drugs, and it is also a very convenient one for practical study, especially when the chemical nature is not known. But again, here there is no relationship between the previous and successive drug entries. So we move on to the pharmacological classification, where these are defined as per the therapeutic use. So we call it as therapeutic classification of drug as well. So we have the pharmacological categories like drugs acting on GIT, gastrointestinal tract, where we have different subcategories, the applications in which it is used. So for example, we take purgative drug, example senna, laxatives, agar, emetic, ipecac, and for bitter drugs we have the example of quassia. Similarly, we have drugs acting on respiratory system, which is of three categories: expectorant, antitussive, and bronchodilators. We have the opium or the codeine for antitussive, for licorice for expectorant, bronchodilator, the tea or the ephedra. Similarly, we have drugs acting on cardiovascular systems, which is of four types: cardiotonic, depressant, vasoconstrictor, and antihypertensive. So we have drugs as examples like Rauwolfia, antihypertensive. For cardiotonic, we have digitalis. For depressant, we have veratrum, and for constrictor, ergot. And for those drugs acting on autonomous nervous system, we have adrenergic, cholinergic, and anticholinergics, where we have the examples ephedra, physostigma, datura, belladonna. And for central nervous system drugs, we have four categories: analgesic, depressant, stimulant, and analeptic. So we have coffee tea for CNS stimulant, and for depressant we have iocyamus, opium. For central analgesic, morphine, and for analeptic we have camphor, lobelia, and vomica. The other categories include antispasmodic, example Curare, hyoscyamus. For rheumatic we have colchicum, anthelmintic we have vedam. Astringent, all the polyphenolic drugs like pale and black catechu. And for anti-malarial we have cinchona and agilisa. And we have the immunomodulatory drug ginseng or ashwagandha. Similarly, for immunizing agents, we have all the seras, taxans, and antitoxins and vaccines. And for those acting on skin membrane, we have Wolfat, balsam of Peru. And for chemotherapeutic, we have the antibiotics as examples. And for local anesthetics, the coca. So the main merit of this system of classification is it is helpful in suggesting the substitutes for the drugs if they are not available at a particular place or a location. And the demerit includes, here we have drugs having different the drugs having different action on body gets classified separately in more than one group. So here it causes a lot of ambiguity and confusion. So we have the next, the chemical classification, where the drugs are classified according to the various chemical constituents that are present in them, like alkaloids, glycosides, tannins, carbohydrates, saponins, which are called as the secondary metabolites. And this system of classification is the most widely accepted classification, which explains the biological activity. So we have the table representing the different chemical constituent groups, namely the secondary metabolites, and examples for the same. So we have certain secondary metabolites like alkaloids, which are nitrogenous basic substances. Examples include cinchona and asformica. And for glycosides, we have certain anthraquinone cardiovascular glycosides like digitalis, anthraquinone glycosides like senna. And we have carbohydrates and its derived products. Examples include acacia, starch, isabgol. And for volatile oil containing drugs, we have the terpenes and the terpenoids, namely the fennel, cinnamon, clove, coriander. And for resin combinations, we have the balsam of Tulu and Peru. And for tannins, we have catechu and tea. Different types of tannins are there, like hydrolyzable, non-hydrolyzable tannins, and condensed tannins. Similarly, for enzymes, we have the normal enzymes like papain, casein, trypsin. And for lipid-containing drugs, we have lanolin and cocoa butter. The merit of this system of classification, as I said, it's a popular method and the most accepted and widely used method for phytochemical research. But the ambiguity here again is drugs may possess a number of compounds which belong to different groups of compounds, and again the ambiguities arise here. So the next is the chemotaxonomical classification, which relies on the chemical similarity of a taxon. So it is based on the existence of relationship between the chemical constituents present in the various plants. We can take the example of propane alkaloids, which occur among the members of Solanaceae, and berberin alkaloid in Berberis and Argemone. Similarly, we have rutin in Rutaceae and Ranunculaceae alkaloids among its members. So the merit of this system is they are directly linked to the chemistry of plants, so it helps in identification very easily. But the demerit is it's a very complex study. So we go on to the last system of classification called as the serotaxonomical classification, where we study the utility of serology, which helps in explaining the taxonomical problems. Normally, we define serology as a study of an antigen-antibody reactions, and these antigens are those substances which stimulate the formation of antibody. So normally, the antibodies are highly specific protein molecules where they are produced by the plasma cells in the immune system, and they act as a carrier for the taxonomic information and commonly used as an antigen. So here in serotaxonomical classification, the similarities and dissimilarities among the taxa can be defined. The degree of similarity that occurs between the different species, genera, family can be of utmost importance in comparing the reaction with antigens from various plant taxa with antibodies against a given taxon. So it also helps in comparing the non-morphological characters as well. The taxonomic information is provided. So this system helps in comparing single proteins from different plant taxa. So to sum up, we have seen the introduction to root drugs with the highlight on the differences between the organized and unorganized drugs and relevant examples for the same. And we have also looked into the 7 different types of classification, namely the alphabetical, morphological, taxonomical, chemical, pharmacological, sero and chemotaxonomical types of classification, their examples, merits and demerits. And then we are also looking into the limitations of application to these systems of classification. And this is the reference for the particular topic, Textbook of Pharmacognosy and Phytochemistry by Beran Shah, and Fundamentals of Pharmacognosy and Phytotherapy. Thank you for your patient listening.